The pristine marble floors of the sunken treasury of Murnau had survived 3 centuries of flooding, 2 tectonic shifts, and an invasion of subterranean goblins. They did not, however, survive the boots of Golgoth the Unwashed. With every step Golgoth took, a trail of black, greasy slime smeared across the white stone. A small, localized cloud of fruit flies hovered perpetually around his greasy hood, and a nearby potted fern, which had miraculously survived in the dark for decades, withered into ash the moment his shadow crossed it. "I am close, master," Golgoth rasped, his voice sounding like 2 chunks of sandstone grinding together in a bucket of lard. A sharp, agonizing pinch flared behind his left eyeball. It was the telepathic ping of his patron, Zul'Kaz the Undying Archlich.
Greetings, YouTube! The Doctor is in. Dr. Urias Papers here, coming at you with another commentary on Dungeons and Dragons. And we have our last class, which is the Undead Patron Warlock from Ravenloft Horrors Within. We are going to be following the path that Golgoth, in the story that I put at the beginning of this, is going to be going through as he progresses in levels. We are also going to be comparing this to the Legacy Undead Patron because this does come from a Legacy, and I am interested to see what changes, and I hope you are also interested to see what changes have been made as well. Also, pay attention to the end of the video because there is a giveaway. Got to watch all the way through to see the rules for the giveaway. All right, so Undead Patron Warlock, we've got Defy Death for Profane Power. You've made a pact with a creature that defies the cycle of life and death, a powerful lich, a vampire, another entity of undeath, etc., etc. All right, so at 3rd level, we get to do some stuff, and it says Form of Dread. This hasn't really changed that much, but we're going to look at the Legacy version as well. So, as a bonus action, you transform into an avatar of your patron's dreadful power, gaining benefits for 1 minute until you have the incapacitated condition or until you end the form. No action required. You transform a number of times equal to your charisma modifier, which should be very high because this is your base stat. You regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. So this charisma modifier at 4th level should be +4, and at 8th to 10th level should be +5. So you're going to be starting to do this 3 times a day, then 4, then 5. Okay, so what do you get when you do this Form of Dread? First off, you get temporary hit points equal to 1d10 plus your Warlock level. That is okay. That's pretty good. You can do this a number of times a day equal to your charisma modifier. So essentially, you're going to be going into each combat with a number of temporary hit points. On average, for a 3rd level Warlock, this is going to be about 8 or 9 temporary hit points, which is pretty good. You get the Fearless form. You have immunity to Frightened condition. If you are frightened when you transform, this condition immediately ends. Okay, that's okay. So far, Form of Dread is just okay. And then we get Frightful Avatar once per turn. And remember, that's once per turn. When you hit a creature with an attack roll, you can force it to make a Wisdom saving throw against your spell DC. So with things like Eldritch Blast, where you get multiple blasts, you can only do this once per turn, even if you're hitting multiple targets. So you force them to make a Wisdom saving throw against your spell DC. On a failed save, they get the Frightened condition until the end of your next turn. But you can keep something frightened for a very long time, and there's Frightened. Ability checks and attacks are affected. You have disadvantage on ability checks and attack rolls while the source of the fear is in line of sight. That's awesome, and you cannot willingly move closer to the source of fear. That is also awesome. Okay, this right here, Frightful Avatar, makes the whole subclass awesome. Now let's take a look at the Legacy. Here's the Legacy. We haven't talked about this yet, so we're not going to go into that, but there is Form of Dread. So as a bonus action, you do this for 1 minute. Temporary hit points is the same. Once during each of your turns, you can do the Frighten condition. That's the same. You are immune to Frighten. You You can transform a number of times a day equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all uses when you finish a long rest. That is also the same. So the only thing that's different here is you are immune to the frightened condition. I think they just redefined that or defined it better. If you are frightened when you transform, the condition immediately ends for you. So it doesn't necessarily end in the legacy version, but you're immune to it, so you're not frightened for a minute while you're in your form of dread. But here they better defined it, so it ends immediately. So it is a little bit better just because it is defined a little bit better. Okay, then we get undead spells. Here they are. We get Bane, Blindness, Phantasmal Force, Ray of Sickness. This is an awesome spell now. That always was an awesome spell. Blindness has always been great, and so is Phantasmal Force is an awesome spell. Did they change any of these spells? Bane, False Life, Blindness, Phantasmal Force. False Life is no longer here. So that one is gone. It didn't really make sense to get some temporary hit points from a spell when you were already getting temporary hit points from Facsimile of Life, your form of dread, so they took that away. We're getting Speak with Dead and Summon Undead. We are getting Speak with Dead, but no Summon Undead. So there is some better spells in here. You see Speak with Dead and Phantom Steed. I don't see Phantom Steed on here. I can do without Phantom Steed for Summon Undead. That is a pretty good spell. If we look at that very quickly, you get the Undead Spirit, and the big thing is you can get the Rotting Claw, which if the target has the poison condition, it has paralysis. And that goes along with the Ray of Sickness, which gives the poison condition. So these two really work together. Now we get Greater Invisibility and Phantasmal Killer. The Legacy version gave us Greater Invisibility and Death Ward. I could forego Death Ward for Phantasmal Killer. I think it seems like to me, they put a few more kind of attack type spells in here. And then at 9th level, we get Anti-Life Shell and Cloud Kill. I could probably do without Anti-Life Shell, but Cloud Kill is pretty good. And we get the same thing here. So Death Ward went away, and Phantom Steed went away, and False Life went away. But those got replaced with a few new things like Ray of Sickness, Summon Undead, and Phantasmal Killer. So I'm okay with that. The spell list is still awesome. Still makes this a great, great, great subclass. Now, the level 6 and the level 10 and the level 14 abilities are just okay. They're not that great. They could be better. So we get level 6, we get Grave Touch, Arcane Necrosis. Necrotic damage from your attacks, Warlock spells, and Warlock features ignore resistance to necrotic damage. That's kind of situational. Once per turn, when you cast a spell that deals damage, you can change that spell's damage type to necrotic. Okay? That's okay. So we can bypass, there's a lot of undead that are resistant to necrotic damage, and then we can turn it to necrotic. When you hit a creature, we get Dreaded Necrosis. When you hit a creature with an attack roll and deal necrotic damage while using your form of dread, you can roll one additional damage die when determining necrotic damage the target takes. So that is not bad because we can make Eldritch Blast do necrotic damage now. You can also use this benefit only once per turn. So it's basically going to do an extra d10 damage. That's not bad at all. This is not as good as the Frightened condition, by the way. It's not even close. And then finally, we get Undead Endurance. You don't gain exhaustion levels from dehydration, malnutrition, and suffocation. In addition, you don't need to sleep, and magic can't put you to sleep. The big one here is magic cannot put you to sleep. The rest of it is just super situational. So, do we get those same things from the Legacy? Grave Touched. Your patron's powers have a profound effect on your body. You don't need to eat, drink, or sleep. Okay, we already knew that. You don't need to eat, drink, or breathe. Breathe. That doesn't say that here. It just says you don't need to sleep. And you don't gain exhaustion from dehydration, malnutrition, or suffocation. So, suffocation now... A creature can hold its breath a number of minutes. When a creature runs out of breath, it gains one exhaustion level at the end of its turn. When a creature cannot breathe at room. Okay. So basically, they're just kind of redefining it the same way they did here. In addition, once during each of your turns, when you hit a creature with an attack roll, and roll damage against the creature, you can place the damage with necrotic damage. While using the form of dread, you can roll 1 additional die. So, okay. So that's that's here. We can do necrotic damage. We can do the extra die. However, what they added in here was ignoring resistance to necrotic damage. That's not there. So that's a little extra something that's there. At level 10, we get Necrotic Husk. We get resistance to necrotic damage. And while in Form of Dread, we have immunity to necrotic damage. And then Unholy Resuscitation. If you drop to 0 and don't die outright, you can cause your body to erupt with deathly energy, each creature of your choice within 30 feet. So this is when you're dying, if you go to 0 and you don't die. So you blow up. Everybody's got to make a con save, or they take necrotic damage equal to 2d10 plus your charisma modifier. On a failed save, it's half as much. Your hit points then change to twice your warlock level, and you gain 1 level of exhaustion. Once you use this, you can't do again until you finish a short or long rest. This is, again, it's situational. This is also situational. It's not going to be a game changer. So do we get this here? Yes, we do. Necrotic Husk, here it is. You have resistance to necrotic damage. If you're transformed using Form of Dread, you're immune. In addition, when you hit 0, you blow up. You can use your reaction to drop to 1 instead and cause your body to erupt with deathly energy. It does damage. You gain 1 level of exhaustion. And once you use this, so this is a reaction here. And once you use this reaction, you can't do so again until you finish 1d4 long rests. This one changes it to your hit points change to twice your level, not 1. And you gain a level of exhaustion, and you can use this after a short or long rest. And it's not a reaction, so it's better. So they did make it better. And finally, level 14, we get Superior Dread, so your Form of Dread improves. Dread resistance, you have resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing, kind of like a barbarian. That's okay. We get Ghostly Flight. If a fly speed equal to your speed, and you can hover, you can move through creatures or objects as if they were difficult terrain. Can't end there. You're going to take force damage. And finally, whenever you cast a warlock spell from the Conjuration or Necromancy school, which we've got Summon Undead, that's Necromancy. Ray of Sickness is Necromancy. Blindness, Deafness, Transmutation, Bane is Enchantment. Phantasmal Killer is Illusion. Cloud Kill is Conjuration. So there's a couple there. So whenever you cast a spell with Conjuration or Necromancy, you cast it without any verbal, somatic, or material components, except material components that are costly or consumed. Well, that's not Ray of Sickness or Cloud Kill, so who cares? And I don't think that's Summon Undead either, so who cares? So you're basically just casting those for free. Now, do we get anything like that at all? We get Spirit Projection at 14th level here. So your spirit can become untethered your physical form. As an action, you can project your spirit from your body. The body you leave behind is unconscious. So this is very different than the new version that is in Ravenloft. So any damage or effect on your physical, so you're separated. However, while your spirit is around, it gains resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, slashing. When you cast a spell, the Conjuration, it doesn't require any of the verbal or somatic components or material components. You have a fly speed. And while you're using your Form of Dread, once during each of your turns when you deal necrotic damage to a creature, you gain hit points equal to half the necrotic damage dealt. That is not here. I don't see that. So they changed that. This, now you don't separate. It just improves your form. You don't separate your body from your spirit. All right, so what are we going to give this? Of course, we're going to give this an A. We have to give it an A because there are certain things in here which are just so good, we can't pass this up. The Frighten condition off of rolls to hit, like Eldritch Blast, are awesome. The spell list is still really good. There are a few situational things in here, but this one right here is a game changer. It will change combats pretty much for the party, or it could make things worse if this happens to be a villain. All this stuff is pretty good. Level 10 stuff is just okay, and the level 6 stuff is just okay too. This extra damage might be pretty spicy. So that is what we're going to give you today. That is a video that I have. I hope everybody enjoyed, and I will catch everybody later. All right, we got something special for the channel. So I have a brand new copy of the Hyperborea Player's Guide. Here it is right here. There it is. You can see it right there. Volume 1 Player's Manual by Jeff Talanian. I have a brand new copy. There it is. You can see all the nice pictures in it. And there's a couple color pictures in here. So there you go. Brand new copy. It does come with a couple ribbon tabs for your use. I will be giving that away in this video. Here are the rules for the giveaway. 1, this video must get 1,000 views in 96 hours of publishing the video. 2, if it does, you need to leave a comment below. So remember to leave a comment, because if you don't leave a comment, you will not be considered. I will pick someone at random from the comments, and then I will let you know in a reply that you have won the book, The Player's Manual of Hyperborea. I will let you know that you have won that, and then I will contact you via the reply, and then you can email me, and I will only receive emails from the person that I said was the winner. You can email me, and I will go ahead and verify that, and then we will go ahead and send that out. We'll get in contact, and we'll send that out via your mailing address. So 1,000 views in 96 hours. You have to leave a comment, and then we will go from there. All right, let's get on with the video.